Am I the asshole for punishing my son for saying something racist? I'm a 39-year-old female, and about a week ago, my family ordered Chinese food for delivery. When the delivery driver came to the door, my daughter, a 16-year-old female, was taking the cat upstairs to put her in her room because he always tries to eat the food. Right when she was doing that, my son screamed out, "Make sure to hide the cat from the Chinese guy," as I am at the door getting the food from the Chinese delivery driver. Yeah, that's kind of messed up. Very obviously heard what my son said and was upset by it. I quickly apologized and took the food. Told my son that racist jokes are completely unacceptable and very wrong, but he refused to admit that what he did was wrong. Later that night, I forced my son to write a sincere apology to the delivery driver, as well as write a one-page paper on Chinese culture and a one-page paper on why racism is perpetuated by racist jokes and stereotypes. Then the next day, I took him to the restaurant and had him read his apology aloud to the driver, as well as give him the papers he wrote. The driver was very appreciative of the apology and thanked me for making my son do it. He then told my son about the multiple instances where he had faced racist comments and attacks from people while he was the delivery driver. I see a lot of good parenting going on around here. Shout out to moms. That night, my husband, a 43-year-old male, and I got into an argument about me making our son do this. He told me that it was embarrassing for our son to have to do the apology and that the punishment didn't fit the crime. I told him that it was much more embarrassing for the driver to have to face that kind of racism and racist stereotypes and that our son would get over the embarrassment. I do not condone any kind of hateful thinking in my house, and the fact that my son said that embarrassed me as well. My husband told me that it was just a joke and that it wasn't that big of a deal. I think that I might have overreacted some, but I think that it's important to help my son understand how what he said was wrong and hurtful. I feel like I might have overreacted some, but I think it's important to help my son understand how what he said was wrong and hurtful. Am I the a-hole? Look, I'm gonna tell you something right now. You are not the asshole. What you did was give your son perspective. He was just being a kid, and while he wasn't trying to necessarily be racist, what he said was a racist comment which hurt a real person's feelings. What you could have done is exactly what your white husband wanted you to do, which is ignore the pain of someone that is different from you because you don't understand their plight and their culture. It's one thing to think of it as just another 16-year-old kid doing a bad job at being funny. It's another thing to understand that this man has to wake up every day working a job that he probably does not want to work to take care of himself and his family, and then doing that job to the best of his ability while customers who he is trained to serve treat him like garbage, like he is less than a human being and like his feelings don't matter. Your son needed that perspective, and it's going to help him become a better man and a better human being in the future. Your husband is probably somebody you should check on and to make sure that he's not a little bit racist. Like, I get it. Maybe he doesn't think it's a big deal, but teaching your son character and integrity should be something that is on the top of the agenda for any man, regardless of what race he is. You never know how what you say can affect the next person. And that was a personal attack. So no, ma'am, you are not the a-hole, and I would go as far to say that your husband is. Thank you for doing a good job educating your son for the next minority that may run into him in the future. If you made it this far into the video, hit that follow button and subscribe to the podcast on YouTube, Spotify, and Apple Podcasts. The links are in the bio.